Go, and you are listening on 92.7 FM. You're also listening on 95.3 FM HD4, and I am getting the Facebook set up. So, Michelle, say hello.
Hello, everybody. So glad to be here today. And the first half went by so fast. Usually I'm used to about 1:30 of getting to talk, and here we just went for 20-something minutes.
And it went by so fast, and I'm glad I got you on for the whole hour. And that's make sure I can see you there. I got distracted. We had a little 3-minute break there, and I was getting the Facebook set up. So hello, Facebook. We're back. And hello, YouTube. We're also on YouTube as well. And I don't have my earphones on. Here we go. Make sure I can hear. Am I on? Are we on? Do you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. That was weird. Yes. Okay, so sorry. Okay, also 95.3 FM HD4 and 92.7 FM. We are live with Michelle Heron today. Michelle is with Channel 3. She is my favorite first responder, also known as an anchor and reporter for Channel 3. And that's what I'd like to dig into a little more on this second half. The first half went by so quick, talking with Michelle about more in depth about her job as a reporter and digging in and really talking to people and getting into. I'm sure we're all familiar where you feel like you watched a show and they did or a news report and they didn't get enough information, and then later there's more information coming out. So it really is important right from the beginning for you to really dig in, and it can get uncomfortable, is what you're sharing, but you're learning that's what it takes. And then you help me a lot with learning because this is a real safe platform for me because I just have a conversation where the show that I follow, David Tulis, he asks the hard questions. And I'm like, oh, that's not me. I just have a conversation because that's hard. And I admire that. I commend you. I commend you for that.
Thank you. But if those questions are there for a reason, and if you have a deep understanding and you're okay with people deserve to know this, whatever you're trying to find out, and you understand that, then you're okay with it. And, anytime that I do have to do a story on something that might be controversial or talk to someone and ask them questions that might be a little bit harder or uncomfortable, I have that conversation beforehand where I say to that person, like, look, this is what I'm trying to find out, and this is why I want to try and find that out. And people understand that. If you're upfront with why you're asking that so that someone isn't just bombarded, I think they have a little bit more respect for you in the long run.
You are, and that is me. I'm like, and it's not that I'm trying to be difficult or hard, but until I understand the why of something, it's hard for me to really understand how to answer. Mm-hmm. Not that I'm an answer, it is what it is, but the why is tremendously important. And that's why I'd written down on my page here, the why. It's with everyone that comes on, that is the motivation behind what you're doing, which is key. But that's a lot, again, what Cindy's Choice is about. It's not just collecting a bunch of businesses that can do a collective marketing program and save money. It's more than that. It's who these businesses are. We're coming together because we have the same mission, and that we just don't want to save more together. We want to do more together. We want to contribute more together. And I have to get into their why. I can't it's not just because, we can afford it and we want you to market us. Well, what are you about? Or do we have that synergy? And so in the same way, the why is important across the board. And I'm loving getting this more in-depth understanding of how much you do have to dig in and how uncomfortable it gets and how it isn't just a very pretty face on the camera, reporting the most recent event. You have a very intense job. And that's a lot, again, why I wanted to have Michelle on is understand the intensity, because it's not just about digging in to that current report, that story, but a lot of times Michelle is the first person on the scene, so to speak. So how does that work? Take me to the beginning. How do you hear about a story?
Oh, there's a lot of ways. Whether that be from someone calling the newsroom, and people still do that these days. Mm-hmm. So it can be from a call to the newsroom. It can be an email into our newsroom. It can be, we have scanners that we listen to. So it can be hearing something going on there. It can be someone giving me a tip. I get messages on my social media feeds all the time, or some people will have my cell phone number, so they'll go ahead and shoot me a text or just something like that. And sometimes it's just, I mean, things are going on all the time, but it's having that intuition and listening to that gut feeling when you know. That I can't describe that. I've had to learn how to trust it when it's just like, I just feel like something is going on here. And I've gotten a lot better at that. Or just knowing that something is going on kind of beforehand and knowing, okay, we need to monitor this just to see if anything might happen.
Right.
So there's a ton of different ways as to how we find out something's going on. But if it is like something in the event of like breaking news, that's avenues that I just described is typically how we find that out. It's not, I in no means want to take away from what our fire, EMS, police, what those folks do, because they absolutely, I have tremendous respect for their jobs. I tell them all the time, we have a very close relationship with working with them. So in no way.
And yes, definitely, and I don't want to do that either, because I'm, like I said, that's one of the reasons I want to have Chief Roddy on, and I've had some of the, I helped promote the 9/11 stair climb, and had a couple of firefighters on, Britt Bradshaw, Mark Kaufman, and that they have my full support, they have my heart, they have my appreciation, and I want to do everything I can to support them and promote them. But there is an aspect, though. I know you've shown up on some situations that were pretty difficult.
I mean, usually as they're unfolding, I've been there. The I-75 crash, when that happened in Ottawa, I was there that night, and it was a terrible night. But typically, right after those first people get there, first responders.
Yes.
We're usually right behind them, not far behind them. But it's us getting there, and we in no way, shape, or form try to hinder the job that they're doing. We understand that they have a job to do, and we can't get in the way of that.
Right.
But we can help out by relaying information as to, this is what's going on. You need to stay away from this area.
Yes.
Or, just letting people know. I mean, a lot of times people are always worried about what might be happening at a school. So if we can find out, relay that information, so then parents know, and then they can go from there. So that's where we come in, is relaying that information as to, hey, this is what's going on, this is what we're seeing, and here is how it might impact you.
Exactly. And
your family.
Well, a lot of what brought you to mind was I had shared with you where I'd helped with the Irma evacuation, and that the Vegetel Hotel, thank you, Casey Steinman, the manager over there, Amish Patel, and John Patel. Because actually, and Josh Patton, which Chicken Salad Chick, because he's the one that called me. He goes, Cindy, you're going to want to know about this. I just dropped a bunch of Chicken Salad Chick off at the Vegetel. They are taking in evacuees for free. And they need help getting the word out. And I'm like, oh, thank you, definitely. Yeah, I want to help. Well, your first thought is, blast it on Facebook. Well, how's that going to help? I don't know many people from Florida. So I just ran down there, and I'm like, I'm just going to go down there and see what I can do. So I get down there, and I meet Casey, and I'm like, what can I do? And he said, well, we're not sure. And I thought, I know what I can do. There's a rest area right across the street. I'm going to go to the rest area and just see if I can just find some people directly that need help. So he's like, oh, that's a great idea. Thank you. I run over there we're talking at exit 1 there at the rest area. Of course, there's a sea of Florida tags. When I get there, the first Florida tag I walk up to, and I'm explaining to them, if y'all got a place to go, there's a place you can stay for free right across the highway. And they're looking at me kind of stunned and, like shell shocked, literally. Yeah. And they're like, what? Now, how much does it cost? I said, no, it's free. And they're like, we have no place to go. We don't know where we're going. They're exhausted. They've been on the road for 24 hours because the traffic has been so bad. When they would stop for water and stuff, they were out. Yep. And so it's like there's water there, there's food there. Papa John's Pizza was great in contributing to that too. There were a lot of contributors. And they were just start crying and, can we please hug you and thank you so much. And I'm like, no, think Amish Patel, think John Patel, think Bud Patel, because I'm like, I felt so privileged and honored to be there. And the majority of the Florida tags that I approached needed that help. And it was the hardest thing that evening when I got the phone call and they said, Cindy, we're full up. We can't take any more. They took in upwards of 350 people, evacuees they were able to help, with the majority of them not having any place to go. Again, a lot of people contributed to feeding them and serving them. But that feeling I had being there in a position to help, yet it felt first on the scene, because these people were going through a major catastrophe. They were having to flee their home. And and that's when you came to mind. I thought, this is a regular thing. But at the same time, I'm kind of craving to help to that degree, like to be, at the front, really directly helping. I'm a big helper. I contribute to the community a lot with my involvement and supporting different causes and so forth. But that direct hands-on, so it's got to be a little bit of an emotional roller coaster, I would think.
Oh, absolutely. Some of the bigger things that I've experienced here since working for Channel 3, and there's been some pretty big things in the last 3.5 years here. Terrible things.
Yeah,
and
sure.
It is when you're there and you're seeing people on the worst day of their life. The human in me wants to help, and so that is how. And sometimes that help isn't immediate when you want it to be, and that is hard.
And it's the same problem. It's hard because you can't help everyone. Mm-hmm. Yet when you're that connected, you've kind of got a semi-bond. You were there when you went through that with them. I mean, I felt a semi-bond with everyone that I approached at the rest area. There's a bond that immediately happens because they're at a very vulnerable time, and you're actually being vulnerable yourself, Michelle. Your job, it just dawned on me, requires a lot of vulnerability, and that's the toughest thing. I'm having a battle with that right now because I share my stories on the radio, and that's practice. It's actually easier to share it on the radio than when I speak to groups and I'm face to face with people. And being vulnerable is the hardest thing I've ever done. And it's necessary, though, and that's going to make you a truly authentic reporter. And that's across the board in life. We all need to be authentic.
And if you think about it, that feeling, that vulnerable feeling, and seeing that in those other people that you connected with, that's what you remember. That's what people remember. So when I am doing a story and I'm sharing someone's story, that's what I need. That's the point where I need to get at, and that's what I need to convey in the most respectful and the most right way, so that people remember that and they say, this is why these people need help. And that's exactly it. They tell us all that all growing up. Maybe growing up isn't the right word, but just growing in this career.
Yes.
One thing that I've learned is that people connect with human emotion, and they connect with that vulnerability because it's the human in us.
Yes.
And those are the best stories.
I mean, it's just like I said, the whole motivation of Cindy's Choice, the whole dream came about of I was raised very dysfunctionally. I did not have a healthy network of support. I was friends with everybody. Everybody liked me. I had a great friend network, but I did not have any real relationships. I didn't understand them. I didn't know the value. And I'd been used to just dealing with everything on my own, and I thought that was the norm. And when I finally got that recognition of relationship, it was just amazing to me. And now I'm out to, help the world connect. Like I said, it's not as, Chattanooga is a great connection town. But there's, it's that we're getting more isolated than ever. And especially in the technology, the very saturated social media market. If Russell's listening, I'll pick on the millennials. They'd rather text than talk, and I'm like, I am out to keep this going on. And radio is a great tool for that because we're communicating. This is somewhat personal. We're vulnerable to be personal on the air. But I really admire that. And that's why I do include you as, again, it's not taking away anything from our first responders as far as the police and the emergency workers and so forth like that and the firemen. But you are a first responder in my mind. And I'm talking reporters, but because I know your story personally
Mm-hmm.
and I know what you're about, you are a first responder, which makes you a hero. In my mind, you're heroes and helpers, and that's what I want to use this platform for, is to honor heroes and helpers and create awareness. Because that's a lot. It's a great understanding to appreciate what goes into reporting a good story. And I think in this climate now, do I dare bring that up? I mean, with it is. We appreciate authentic because there's more fake out there than ever. And that's again, like we're on Facebook now, and that's where I get most of my news.
Yeah,
and I follow you and get a little more in depth. If I see something that it gets my attention where I need to know a little more about that, I'll dig in more.
Mm-hmm.
But I keep up a lot with what I'll read you, and what I really admire too is you're brave to put that out there, because there's a lot of opinions that come back at you, and you fire back a little bit. So
a little firecracker.
Yeah, so talk about that a little bit.
With so many opinions, there's nothing wrong with that. I respect it. I have tremendous gratitude to people that from different walks of life, different experiences, form their own opinions with things. And I love that. And I love debating or talking with people or exchanging just different views. There is a respectful way to do it, and there's a disrespectful way.
That's the key thing, is respectful.
I think we've, just as a society with, and I'm not saying anything that hasn't already been said ever before, but just with the internet and with the phones and with the screens, people that respect has gone down, it feels like. At least in my experience.
No, I think people can hide. They forget
mm-hmm.
that this is out there, that this is representing them. I think there are people. It's the whole reality TV thing. I get that. I forget that we're on camera. I forget that we're on the air.
Yeah.
And I understand now that people get on there and forget. Everybody can see this. This is representing who you are, and it's really tricky.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not good at it. I will not get into debates because I don't have the patience to really explain myself thorough enough.
Exactly.
And the short answers get misconstrued 100 different ways.
Exactly. And I think that's one thing that we sometimes forget is you might type something out, but then what you're trying to convey might not come across as strong just typing it out than what it might be in a face-to-face conversation. And having the time to go into why you feel that way. So people are just so quick to jump to a conclusion and then attack that. And then that's where these, rabbit holes of going back and forth come from. And I don't fight with people.
No.
Absolutely not. Like I said, I'm all about, if you have a different view, go ahead and put it there and share it. I'd love to hear it, but do it in a respectful way.
Exactly.
And just to put it plainly, if you don't have something nice to say, just don't say it at all.
Exactly. That's me. And I am a bit of a Pollyanna, but it's necessary, and it's more necessary than ever. And I'm glad it's just a natural inclination for me. It's gotten me in a lot of trouble because I've had to learn. I have to force myself to look at negative because I'm so focused on the positive. Like I said, I instantly like everybody. I talk to them like they're my best friend, which puts a little people off because I scare people a little bit. But and I got to say, not as much. When I first moved to Chattanooga, I terrified people. Coming from Dallas, Texas, and I'm standing in the grocery store line, and I start talking about a headline on the magazine. The person next to me, they literally would pull their children closer and take 2 steps back, and I'm like, what? But now Chattanooga's growing, so it's not quite as tight knit as it was 20 years ago. But at the same time, it is what it is.
And I think when people, share those opinions and share those things and comment and this and that, we talked about it a little bit before we got started, but it's kind of where you get your information from.
Yes.
I totally understand that we are in an age where people don't trust the media. They don't trust journalists. I understand that. I'm not saying that every single person in this industry is like me. I don't know everybody.
No, exactly.
And
that's why I say you're my favorite first responder. I look at you as a first responder. It's from knowing you.
Mm-hmm. But that doesn't make me like everyone else, like those blanket statements. No one likes that.
I hate the blanket statements.
Exactly. No one likes that, and it is easy for me to take it personal because it's like, well, why are you making that blanket statement when I work really, really hard to make sure that what I put out there is truthful and honest and respectful? And then it's like, well, I'm not talking about you. Well, think about it. That blanket statement is impacting. You are talking about people. Exactly. So, and it's hard to think about that way. So I completely understand. But sometimes people don't. They're unsure of where they're getting their information from, and what is credible and what's not. Some of these websites look legit.
And it's not like because I'm a very trustworthy person, so I tend to trust.
Exactly.
And that's really, it's not like there's a bunch of ignorant people out there. It's like it's a trusting thing. Most people are trusting, but that's why they get taken advantage of, because the people that are out to do untrustworthy things, they know that most people are trusting, and they know that they can post this or that and get them to run with it. And it's really frustrating. I fell for it before, but I learned real quick. Okay, more caution needed here.
Because there's so much information out there now compared to 15, 20 years ago. You don't know what is truthful and what's not, and what might be a half truth, or what might not be correct because someone, they don't name where they got that source from, or where that source got their information from. If someone is talking in an article or in something and they're not revealing their name and not saying why, that's a red flag.
Yes.
And when also just look at the sources, look at some of these pages that people are sharing on Facebook, do a little bit of research as to the background of what that organization is. Some of these organizations sharing some information into the Las Vegas shooting, if you go back and look and you read, they share false information at the time of tragedy.
Yeah.
So then you start to see, okay, what are they really feeding off of here? They're feeding off of emotions.
Exactly.
And
oh wow,
it's hard for people to get that. I'm not saying that
we are emotionally driven,
of course,
people, and we have to learn not to be. And it's a process.
I think it's just human nature.
Yes,
it's human nature to want to know why things happen, cause and effect. Some people care about it a little bit more than others, but be happy or be okay with looking at several different types of sources, even when you don't agree with that information, because that's where you get a look at the bigger picture.
Bigger picture. That's a great note to end on. And I hate that we're out of time.
I know, it's been so quick.
This has been great. I so appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
And I so appreciate our listeners for tuning in. And our Facebook listeners, thank you so much for joining us. Join us again next Friday, 11 a.m. on 92.7 FM and 95.3 FM HD4. That's a wrap.
Hey, dude, check this out. Have you ever seen one so big?
Whoa, look at the size of that.
This little itty bitty one.
Wow,